All right, I think we're ready to start. Apologize for being targeted. I was talking with some folks who wanted to know what we were up to, and I'm happy to tell them. This is the 134th meeting of the Massachusetts Gaming Commission, and I'm pleased to call it to order now so that we can begin the deliberations with respect to the Region A Category 1 casino license. I have a few opening remarks that I'd like to make to sort of set the stage for what's going to follow during the course of the week, and then we'll proceed in accordance with the plan that we've laid out. Today is Monday, September 8, 2014. I suspect everybody knows that. We've assembled to begin the final consideration of applications for a Category 1 gaming license for Region A. Two applicants are under consideration: Mohegan Sun Mass, LLC, and Wynn Mass, LLC. Each applicant has been deemed suitable as part of the Commission's background process and has submitted an extensive application describing its proposal. Those are the applications we're going to be considering today. Before we begin the process, I'd like to make a few acknowledgments and then set out the procedures that will follow over the course of the next few days. To begin, I and the other commissioners would like to acknowledge the enormous efforts that have brought us to this point. They include efforts by both of the applicants, who have dedicated substantial resources and subjected themselves to a rigorous process, including an extensive background check and submission of voluminous applications detailing their respective visions for a gaming establishment in Massachusetts. They include efforts by our staff and consultants who have worked tirelessly behind the scenes to pore over countless documents and sources of information, and have offered sage advice essential to ensure that the Commission is positioned to consider the applications effectively. They include efforts by elected officials and staff of the host and surrounding communities who work diligently to serve their constituencies in order to position their respective communities in the best place possible. And they surely include members of the public who have shared their thoughts and feelings, sometimes with a great deal of vigor, chiefly on the merits and drawbacks of the applicant's proposals, and sometimes with equal vigor on the merits and drawbacks of us. It's important that we listen, and we do. We are very grateful to all of you for the thoughts, ideas, and concerns you have brought to this process. I want to take a few minutes now to outline the process we will follow as we consider the two applications over the next several days. We'll start by asking Karen Wells, the Director of the Commission's Investigation and Enforcement Bureau, and Catherine Blue, the Commission's General Counsel, to offer an update on the suitability of the two applicants, a subject that is always open for review and will remain open for review even after we finish the proceedings this week. We'll then ask General Counsel Blue to outline briefly the basic law and considerations governing this part of the licensing process so that those general guidelines and that general framework is visible and understood by all. Next, we'll move into the evaluation process. The applications have been divided into 5 sections: building and site design, finance, mitigation, economic development, and overview. Each commissioner has looked at each application in its entirety, but in addition, each commissioner was assigned to a single section of the application to conduct a thorough analysis and provide a written and today an oral report of that analysis to the other commissioners. In light of Chairman Crosby's election to remove himself from Region A proceedings, the overview section of the application, for which he was responsible, has been divided among the other commissioners, each of whom prepared a part of the overall report, and we'll talk about that part. Today I'll present the building and site design report, and Commissioner Zuniga will present the finance report. Tomorrow, Commissioner Cameron will present the mitigation report, Commissioner Stebbins will present the economic development report, and we will each present our assigned portions of the overview report. The written reports each of us prepared will be available on the Commission's website the morning the report is presented, and I take it that today the two reports that we're presenting today are up or shortly will be, along with the presentations themselves. So they're there. Today's reports are there for anybody who would like to look at them. Those reports are there, as are our presentations. During their presentations, the commissioners may be joined by a consultant, and commissioners may from time to time ask questions of other commissioners or of the consultants. During or at the end of each presentation, the presenting commissioner may recommend conditions for the award of a gaming license to a particular applicant. At the conclusion of each day's presentations, we'll offer each applicant an opportunity to advise the Commission as to any material factual errors they believe a Commissioner made during the course of his or her presentation. Commission staff has created a procedure for receiving those claims and has communicated that plan to the applicants. We'll address those claims in a public session on Wednesday morning. During the presentations, Commission staff will be compiling a list of conditions proposed by the Commissioners. Commission staff may add to that list any conditions that they recommend. On Wednesday morning, the entire list will be presented to the Commission for its review, and the Commission will authorize staff to present some or all of those conditions to the applicants for their response. We're going to proceed in that fashion because we'd like to know the applicant's position with regard to the conditions before rather than after we make our final decision. The applicants will prepare written responses to the conditions and will be given a reasonable amount of time to do so. We'll solicit their thoughts as to how much time they need and then make a judgment as to the amount of time to allot. And during that time, during the time that they're considering those conditions, the Commission will be in recess. After we receive the written responses, we'll post them on our website and reconvene our meeting. Upon reconvening, we'll consider the responses and may ask an applicant, consultant, or staff member to answer any questions we have about the responses. At that point, the Commission will begin its deliberations, and those deliberations will continue until we reach a decision. When we do, we'll take a final vote and incorporate any conditions of licensure into that final vote. As in the past, any license award will be reduced to writing and signed by the Commission and the applicant before our meeting concludes. One final note, and then we'll turn to Director Wells and Council Blue. There will be no press availability while the report presentations are in progress, but there will be one on Wednesday after those presentations are concluded and the Commission recesses to allow the applicants to begin considering any conditions. Once the proceedings resume and the Commission begins its deliberations, there again will be no press availability until we conclude. During those blackout periods, please feel free to channel questions to our acting public information officer, Hank Shaffron, who will be happy to give you his contact information if you do not already have it. Hank, where are you? Right over there. So Hank will be happy to take questions and provide you with his contact information if he doesn't have it. So that concludes the opening remarks that I had. Does any other commissioner have anything you want to say before we begin? All right, then let's, I'm sorry.
Actually, yes, this is probably a little customary, but I think it bears restating. You did mention the efforts that everybody present and elsewhere have put to get us to this day. I will emphasize something that I've done before, which is the efforts of the applicants. You will see that in my presentation later today that there is a lot of money that has come, and therefore a lot of hours and man hours, person hours, that has come in terms of putting these presentations, these proposals, together. It's true for the presentations, but the applicants are really, have really done a lot of work to get us to this point. And from my perspective, the Commonwealth benefits from that competition and from that effort. So thank you for that.
Well said. All right, let's then begin.